I mean, it was bad. Like my brain was all scrambled up. I couldn't understand what people were saying to me. I just heard sounds, kind of like the Peanuts character, right?
Yeah.
And it would take a little bit for it to register, and then I'd have to figure out what to say because then I had a hard time speaking. I was then lumped into a layoff because I asked them to test for mercury in my office.
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak. Thank you for listening to the show. I would love if you could give us your opinion on how you felt about the show, your experience that you have in regards to what we've been talking about. I am having an absolute blast, but your input is like dynamite on that explosion. So give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Give us everything you got. We love it. Thanks. I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Nicole. Nicole, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Michelle. Super awesome.
Awesome. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Well, I am the Empowerment Alchemist, and what I do is I help people go from resistance to resilience by eliminating their limiting beliefs and fears and all of those negative things that hold them back and help them step into fearless authenticity and bringing
Nice.
science and the spiritual together.
Mm,
Mm.
very fun. So let's back up the bus a little bit because we will totally get into that. But how did you get into that in the first place?
Well, I'll say background being a very intuitive child that could see auras, energy, spirits, that kind of thing. So I had all of that. But then I was also very interested in science. I ended up going into chemistry for more than 16 years. I started my own business and I was working with people all around the world. And it just evolved into this thing where, people asked me to do workshops and then I'd give the workshops and then they wanted more and more and more. And through that progress at the same time going through mercury poisoning and then having to start all these things all over again because I almost died. It really dove me head on into the self-discovery process and how you bring everything back and better than before when everything is crashing down around you, or at least so it seems, right?
Right. How did you get mercury poisoning?
Ooh, that's a little touchy subject.
Can you touch on like the top of the icebergs?
Yeah, well, we'll skim the cream on the top, okay?
Exactly.
When I worked in chemistry, I was starting to have symptoms of all kinds of stuff, and it ended up my health just deteriorated and deteriorated, and it turns out that compound factor, I have a genetic mutation called MTHFR, and couple that not being able to eliminate heavy metals. So I had a chronic exposure because my office that I was moved to and sat in for years at my job was right next door to the old thermometer room.
Oh
So
my God.
anyone who knows science and knows thermometer rooms, that, those used to be the old mercury thermometer rooms, and you break one, forget it. And if you have a whole slew of them, you probably have a whole bunch of them broken.
And
And
of course, they're not in a lead room that contains all that and all that fun stuff.
right. And with a
Ah,
32-year half-life, mercury is abounding everywhere. I couldn't
ooh,
eliminate it, so it just built up in my body.
right. That is crazy. So then you're going through this healing process on your own, or on your own body. May not have been alone, but on your own body, and through that, kind of what was the transition like? What happened to go back to, like, obviously you didn't want to go back to your office next to the toxic room. I have this image in my mind. It looks like something from Batman. And then there's the Joker and Penguin all doing their stuff in this back room somewhere. That's brutal. But
Yeah.
tell me about the
Well,
transition and what happened. So how did you decide to take this on as an occupation?
I ended up with my superpower from the toxic sludge became fearless authenticity. So
Nice.
complete like fearlessness. Um, what ended up happening was I almost died. I was, recovering, and I mean it was bad. Like my brain was all scrambled up. I couldn't understand what people were saying to me. It sounded I just heard sounds. Kind of like the Peanuts character, right?
Yeah.
And it would take a little bit for it to register, and then I'd have to figure out what to say because then I had a hard time speaking. I was then lumped into a layoff because I asked them to test for mercury in my office.
Nice.
And that's where I kind of have to not go
That's where
too
the
much
testing
into.
conversation comes in, which is okay. So bypass all that and go into so then you're healing yourself and going, hey, I think I got something here. Like people need to know about this, or what was that? And then the transaction like.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was I went through my own process because when it was at the height of that near death of mercury poisoning, I couldn't get out of bed. It took like 3 hours for me to get out of bed, of consciously fighting with myself, and I'd have to throw myself onto the floor and make something else hurt worse than the hurt that I was chronically in that pain. Um, Thinking back to all of that time, it was very debilitating because and I was living up in my head as much as anybody could and going crazy because I was the one who took care of everyone else. I was the one who everybody came to for this, that, and the other thing. I was super independent and I don't need anybody's help to do this or that. And all of that was stripped down to, I was just this mush on the floor of it was I was at the mercy of everybody else. I couldn't drive. I I could barely think. And I could barely speak. There was just so much stuff. I was stuttering like really bad with everything. I couldn't think fast. My memory was shot. Mad Hatter syndrome, very real thing. It's like you're crazy. So it's like it was like I was walking around delirious dementia and, you know, not knowing basically my ass from my elbow, if I can say that.
You just did. So yeah.
I know.
So again, and then talk to me about, okay, so you're in this state and then what started to happen? How'd you get out of it?
So I ended up really deep diving into because I couldn't do anything else. I was stuck with myself. And how many
Uh,
people really love to be stuck with themselves?
At the best of times, let alone.
All the stuff
Yeah.
comes out when you're stuck
Right.
with yourself. So I started processing through all of the things, the emotions and the thoughts that would come up, and fears and worry and everything, because what if and when I can, or if I was, all of those things came up, and woe is me and wah wah wah. There was victim mode and everything. And then I started to come out of it and really start to process it. Why do I feel like that? Where does this actually come from? So I went into this space of stripping away all this stuff, trusting my intuition. So amplifying my intuition, because there was that, and that was super helpful in all of that, because the intuition helps you make aligned decisions, and then you can start really understanding yourself. And when you start to do that, so I would just, it was like this process that was never ending, and it just kept exponentially growing. And it was, trial by fire and trial and error on my part. So I was my biggest guinea pig. And then I came up with my process of really, how do I get out of this, and how do I get out of this way of thinking so that I can make things happen, and how do I manifest things at a much more rapid rate? Because now if I don't do something, my entire family is going to be homeless and hopeless.
Right. So what did that kind of look like? And in for you? Was it kind of I need food, I need shelter, I need water, I need, like, what was it that was driving you forward?
It was really understanding how my mind was working around all of the things that were supposed to be expectations, responsibilities, beliefs that I had. So it was really unraveling all of the beliefs that I had that said I had to do these things or I had to be this person. And I started realizing, you know, I could have died and I never lived to who I was. So I wanted to be able to become who I really was because what everyone expected of me, especially growing up, because there was all this, you can't talk like that or you can't say those things. And I grew up in a very religious household, so things that I said were taboo.
Mm.
So I always had to be somebody else. And when I really looked at it, I was always being somebody else for everybody because of what they needed. And we're not meant to live like that. So I made a commitment to myself to be myself, regardless of who is around and what they need, because what I need comes first. And when I take care of what I need, everybody else's needs are taken care of, whom I choose to be in my circle.
Nice. Well, and I can't tell you how many people, and it doesn't matter what it is. There's kids that wanted to read and get good at science, and the parents are like, get outside and go play with the other friends. You shouldn't be sticking your nose in a book all the time. And other kids are out playing soccer and having fun with their friends, and their parents are going, you need to get better marks in school. This is like, it doesn't matter what it is. Inevitably, there's parents in the world that were like, and they had the best intentions in some cases. Some didn't, but in a lot of cases, parents had the best intentions and they just wanted a well-rounded child that would survive, and they know that what they did allowed them to survive. So when somebody comes completely left field and it's like, hey, you're going to grow up and be an engineer and now you're interested in fashion design, it's like, no, 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 you're not. Get back over here and become an engineer. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. So I think everybody can relate to that conundrum.
Yeah, and you see that a lot with kids when their parents have really wonderful jobs like doctors and lawyers and that kind of thing, and then they expect their child to do that, and then they have a kid who really wants to be an artist but is, thrown into, I'm supposed to take over the law firm, so I need to become a lawyer. And there's so much of that, and I've had friends that went through those types of things and then dropped out in their last semester. It's like, you wasted all that money.
Right. Well, you clearly somehow, some way got better, healed yourself, and now today you're working with people. Who is your typical person to work with? Who comes to you the most often?
Most often women entrepreneurs who used to work in corporate or are transitioning from that space into their own business. And also there are corporate people and salespeople as well.
Nice. Love
Yeah.
it. So when you're working with them, what does that look like? Are they going, hey, I'm stuck where I'm at. I don't know what the heck's going on. Or are they like, oh my God, I got to get out of here, but I'm terrified. Like, what is the normal story that you're hearing?
Yeah, so for the individuals, that's usually some form of coaching, whether it's a breakthrough package or, I have a breakthrough blueprint that I take people through. And so it's either the group coaching or one-on-one coaching or online courses. And for sales teams, it's usually that one-on-one, like any kind of teams or sales teams that people are in. They need, usually there's a lot of communication uh things that we're focused on, because beliefs around how people communicate, the ways that they communicate, and also identifying their strengths and how they can complement each other instead of breaking each other down and putting each other into triggered modes and victim modes and all that. um it's amazing, the dynamic of how a team, when they come to me, and then the huge shift happens when when people are actually looking at things from a completely different angle and focused on, not the fears, but the outcomes. So,
Love it. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you about a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I'm super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
ooh, this is good. One of my favorites is a salon owner that came to me, and she was having a lot of issues around beliefs around her age. So she thought that people viewed her as too young to have the skill set, the business mind, the savvy, and the ability to train and grow a team of her of her people. She was very specialty niched with her with the like extensions and things like that, just very specific salon specialties that she was offering and that people needed a lot of training for in order to be able to be doing it. So she came to me and she had this belief that she was viewed as too young, and it was propagating into that she couldn't hold her team, therefore she wasn't able to hold her clients. And so there was a lot of revolving door, and people would take her awesome training and then go do something elsewhere. So there was some miscommunication, the insecurity that the leader is having, and all of that stuff. So we busted through some beliefs. And then what happened next? She messaged me afterwards and she was like, you know what? This was awesome because this is what happened. She had met with these, very certain people. She onboarded a whole new clientele with a whole new set of hairstylists and experts that she trained, and she had all the communication was in the right places. She had a manager who was helping to manage all the pieces with her. And the team that she had put together was a team that functioned super well. They loved where they were at. The training enhanced their skills and they stayed there. The clientele came up and she was on her way to reaching the goal of she wanted to be able to sell her business for 7 figures or more. So that
Nice.
was what she was getting to. It was maintaining it and building it and getting it to the value, at least to that million plus mark.
Oh, good
And
for her. I love these stories. Those are the ones that they I just get so excited for them that people can see this. And it says something about entrepreneurialism that when people they go into it because they want that freedom and then they get stuck and they think that there's something wrong with them and that they can't do it. And it's totally not true. They just need to get a hold of you. So I love it. So how do people start their journey with you? I know that our listeners are going to want more from you.
Well, I have a few different things that you could take a look at on magicllc.com. One that people love to take is my free beliefs quiz, because it kind of gives you that intro and gets you starting to think about what your beliefs are. And so that's where people like to start.
Nice. And so people go to that. We will, of course, have that link in the show notes. So go ahead and scroll down there. As well as you mentioned that you do the belief repatterning for people, the teamwork with people, and are there other avenues that they can go down?
Yes, I do have an online course, Breakthrough Blueprint, and that is a go at your own pace, which is super awesome because it really helps you to get the foundations in place. Because if it starts off with the things that if you don't have these things, it'll never happen. And which is why people keep coming to me because they don't have these things. And especially people that are building their business, a lot of things get taught, and it only masks and puts a Band-Aid over something that the Band-Aid falls off, and guess what? The wound is exposed because you haven't actually treated the wound. So there's that. And then the other way is sometimes people bring me in for professional development days, or, speaking to a team, a group, or a company, and whether that's a motivational talk or a workshop. I do both.
So what are your workshops typically around?
Typically are around helpful things that you're trying to get past, but we also tackle the beliefs with it. So, for example, laying the foundations for life and business success is all about setting those foundations. So you have to be able to know what you want. And most people don't. And it's really an interesting thing. And then peeling those layers back and tagging them back to your beliefs and your values. And then finding, because I help you expose the gaps that are there. What is in the way, and where is it that you're lacking certain things, and why are you lacking those things? And then I teach limiting beliefs, how to transform them into unlimited potential. So there's that. There's 8 different steps that I go through. Different workshops on procrastination and becoming more productive, manifesting, all of those.
Love it. Awesome. So you have been absolutely awesome. And I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were special, kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
Oh, I was about 5.
Cool. What was going on? What'd you do?
I went through this with my sister. Oh gosh, maybe last year or the year before. And I remember we were plugging away at all the entrepreneurial businesses that I came up with, that I created or we created together. And I think there were 12 by the time I was 14.
Oh, fun. That was awesome. Which one was your favorite?
My favorite was, I think I had the most fun with getting the neighborhood kids into my membership spy club.
Fun. Were you spying on the neighbors or on each other?
We were spying on adults, because this was when I was really young, and it was like, $2 for, a month. So you had to pay 50 cents a week or something like that.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. I love it. So you have been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Yeah, lots of words for the peeps, but I'll condense it down into this. If you feel like you're lacking in any area of not belonging, not safe and secure, or not empowered, those are the 3 things that everybody needs, is to feel safe and secure, to be loved and accepted, and to be empowered. So those are the areas that propagate everywhere in your life, and whatever it is that you're lacking goes back to those 3 things. So that's where the beliefs go in and the behaviors come out.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time, Nicole. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
Peeps,
everyone.
Thanks. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.